Welcome to another broadcast of the Competitive Edge. And today we are going to be looking at a very important topic, and that is personal and corporate branding. Now, if you're in business or even in life, it's important for you to understand the importance of branding in the equation of positioning that business to be success, because it is by developing brand identity the business is able to be easily by potential consumers and existing consumers. So we'll do that deep dive into that. And so we can put a face to personal branding. And perhaps with time, we will also put a face to corporate branding. Today's program was sponsored by the Bestseller Portal. If you look behind me, you're seeing BSP, which is Bestseller Portal. To learn more about the Bestseller Portal, I encourage you to go to the bestsellerportal.org, bestsellerportal.org. With me in the studio today are a number of talented personality. We have Andrew, who is a digital marketing specialist, and he's also heavily involved in personal and corporate branding. And it's a pleasure to have you here today, Andrew. We also have Frank. Frank is an economist by profession, and he's also a John Maxwell specialist. Frank, like myself, wear many hats. He has taught at several universities and spent many years in the teaching profession. Of course, we have Paul and Paul Whitehouse. He is a very dynamic personality. He's a specialist in terms of financial instruments. He served in the police force. He is a real estate investor, and he just have a heart of gold when it comes to helping people to attain their corporate aspirations. So this is my team of dynamic personality here today. And today we will be going into the concept, discussing the importance of personal and corporate branding. But just before I get the program going, quickly, I want to ask you, the viewing audience, to call a friend, tell a friend that the competitive edge is on. And if you have a friend, family who's in business, they should log into this program because they're going to be getting a lot of nuggets here today as we go deeper into this program. So with that, I want to ask each team members to give a short introduction before we do that deep dive into today's program. I'm going to start with Andrew. Andrew, can you, for those who might be looking at this program for the first time, can you help them to understand a little bit more about Andrew?
Yeah, sure. My name is Andrew. I'm very big on digital marketing. We actually own my own firm. I'm a partner of another firm. The firms are called Digital World Connections, and the other firm is called Click. We've been in marketing for over 13 years as an organization, and very big on the space, very big on mentality for marketing. And I teach, preach, and work everything and anything related to marketing for other brands. I'm also a full-time college student as well, so the balance is definitely there. But this we're primarily very big on marketing for brands all in all different spaces and all throughout the world, not just the U.S. as well.
All right, thanks for that share, Andrew. I'm going to now come to Paul.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Whitehouse, one of the owners of Patriot Business Finance Consultants. And to put it simply, what we do is we provide access to capital for businesses, growing businesses, startup businesses. And capital would include financing for equipment, real estate, cash flow programs like factoring, or purchase order financing, which enables you to fulfill a large order if you don't have the cash to do it. And we can also help you raise capital with Securities and Exchange Commission compliant capital raises. We're partnered with two investment bankers, so Their method of raising capital is maximizing debt, minimizing equity. And love to work with you. Paul at patriotbfc.com if you'd like to get a hold of me.
All right, thanks for that share, Paul. Frank, all to you.
Once again, good morning. And, I'm more into the leadership aspect of training, um, all about leadership. What is a leader? Why leadership is needed? And one of the things that I want to leave with you is that leaders are found and required in most aspects of society, including business, including politics, including religion, social and community-based organizations. And so leaders are seen as people who make sound and sometimes difficult decisions. They articulate a clear vision, establish achievable goals, and provide followers with the knowledge and tools necessary to achieve those goals. One of the things that I stress also is that an effective leader has characteristics of self confidence, strong communication, management skills, and many others. So I'm here basically to teach or talk to you on leadership, leadership skills, and how leadership can help you develop, mold, and move and advance into the future.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. So there you had it, audience. You have an expert in digital marketing and personal branding. You have another expert that deals with finance. And also, Frank, he deals with leadership. For those who might be looking at me for the first time, I wear many hats. I'm I'm the person that's going to help you to understand financial instruments, access capital, leverage capital the smart way, and also mitigate debt. But the other hat that I wear, I'm also the author of multiple books. My last book is Master the Sales Communication Process. And why I've written that book, because if you want to be successful in business and you have a fear for sale and marketing by default, that business could be undermined. So if you are not good at sales, you need to at least have someone on your team that understand the broad ecosystem of what is branding and marketing. So I encourage you to learn more about the book. You need to go to the bestseller portal, and they sponsor today's program. Go to bestsellerportal.org, tap on product on your left hand side. You're going to see ebooks. You can go there and get those books. There are audiobooks that you can just download and listen to it. So on your way to work, on your way home, in the gym, you could be listening to something and learning at the same time. And these are user-friendly books that's going to really transform the way you do business. With that being said, I want to come right back to Paul to really ask him just before we get into today's program, the face of branding and marketing. I want to ask Paul to share with us a little bit about the BFC and the financial instruments that we are currently offering. Paul, all to you.
Okay. Well, on the subject of business finance consultants, what we're trying to do is, and if you're interested, we're going to put out a concentrated marketing effort quickly. But right now, if you're interested and you're hearing this, email me, paul at patriotbfc.com. Get a hold of Gary. And we want to train you how to sell money. That's what we do. We provide financing for businesses. What does that really mean? It means you're providing money. Money's the inventory. We need to get it off the shelves. And we're going to teach you the details of business financing. And don't worry, if you don't have experience in it, it's not that hard. If I can pull it off, I know you can. It is not hard. So that would be equipment leasing. If a business needs equipment, well, they can pay cash, they can bank finance it, but the largest companies in the world use equipment leasing as the way to obtain ownership of equipment. Leasing equals ownership, and it equals tax advantages. There's reasons why the largest companies in the world do it. So that's how we help businesses get equipment. So what you will be able to do as a business finance consultant is offer that service. You find a business owner who needs equipment. Maybe he's got difficult credit and he's been turned down at the bank. Well, we can take care of that. I mean, there's a lot of details to go in here, but long story short, what we offer to you is full training and support. Full training and support. You can call me at night if you've got a customer, and we're going to get on the phone with that customer and help them get what they need. And what's that going to result in for you? Well, a lot of education, a lot of you're going to gain knowledge on financial instruments, a whole body of knowledge. Okay. Um, you're going to make a lot of money because when you're dealing with big numbers follow. That's the goal, is for us to help you become not only financially independent, but able to take all that excess money that you have and help people do what they need to do. Help them either get into business or help them personally. That's what we do with money. Okay. In addition to pay the bills. So there's a lot to go into, but long story short, equipment financing, real estate financing, cash flow programs, raising capital for businesses. That's what we do. That's what we want to teach you how to do, support you while doing it, and let's all make money together. That's the overview of the Business Finance Consultants Program. And I probably already hit it, but equipment leasing, boom, help businesses do that. Real estate financing, factoring. If a business has slow cash flow, potentially and likely it's probably because their accounts receivable are not paying quickly. Accounts receivable are all the money that is owed to you. It's your money. It, Accounts receivable are probably one of the greatest assets that a business owns. You deliver your product, you deliver your service. You're going to be, if you're doing business to business, you're going to give them an invoice and says, pay me in 30 days. Sometimes 30 turns into 45 or 60 or beyond. So those invoices, which is money that is owed to you, they can be sold for 97, 98 cents on the dollar, and you get immediate cash flow. So I could keep going on and on, Gary, but I think I've covered it all. What do you think?
Yes, definitely, and thanks for that share. So there you have it. In the U.S., and we are currently looking for at least 100 persons to join us as BFCs. We have a number of persons who have been reaching out to us in terms of not only excited about the news, but they want to start now. And Paul, we're gonna talk some more about a start date because some people want to start this week, the training. So I want to encourage you to reach out to us now and DM me, DM Paul, and we'll be happy to engage with you. So you could be in 50 states in the US, and we want to work with you. All right. In the Caribbean and other parts of the world, while we may not be able to bring the traditional financial instruments, and there are still other financial tools that we are willing to share with you so you too can be part of the financial within game for 2024. So in the Caribbean and other parts of the world, still feel free to reach out to us. We have something good for you as a BFC. One more thing on that. As Paul would have said, you will understand financial instruments. But along with financial instruments, you will learn about leadership. Right, we have people like Frank that has years of experience and teaching at many universities and teaching at the top level. That's going to work with you to help you to understand leadership. You will also understand branding and marketing, which is vital to grow as an entrepreneur. All right. So we also want to help you to become your own bosses. All right. So when you come in, we'll give you more of this information. So in 2024, you can really start to lay that pathway and to position yourself for personal and financial greatness. Now, having said all of that, I want to swing attention to today's topic. Today, we are looking at the face of branding and marketing, and I really want us to zero in a little bit into what I'm going to call personal branding. I want to begin by giving a short definition of what personal branding means to me. Personal branding has everything to do with talent and talent recognition and appeal. All right. Now, in your talent, you may have narrow appeal or you may have broad appeal. And just to make put a face to this, with your talent, you may have narrow appeal from the perspective that you're doing music, you're doing dance, you're a public speaker, you're a comedian, you are a dramatic performance, you are a fashion model, you're doing basketball or martial arts. These are talents, and in each of these fields, persons can build very healthy, strong personal brand. Like, let's look at martial arts. I mean, we have Chuck Norris, who has built a healthy personal brand in martial arts. And he has made movie. He has become an influencer. So, everyone associates Chuck Norris now with martial arts and all of these different things. But for him, his growth and use of building that personal brand is not narrow; it's more broad. So you have narrow. Narrow is in the sense that you're doing these things, but you're not as popular as others. On the other side, you have what I call broad appeal with your talent. And this again relates to music and dance and speech and comedy, dramatic performance, fashion, basketball, and again, martial arts. In the basketball field, as we talk about personal branding, you have well-known figures like Michael Jordan. He is, because of the fact that he was successful in building up his personal brand, he has been able to endorse many companies and earn millions of US dollars because of that. Now, the question that I want us to also examine here is how relevant is personal branding to today's businesses. Now, from the work that we are doing, there are several things that we are seeing can happen from personal brand. I'm just going to share with you some of the relevance and importance that we have seen. Uh, Working with personal branding, we are seeing that it is the fastest way to be known, to be liked, and to be trusted. And there are many examples out there as to how personal branding has really helped in getting the brand to be known, liked, and trusted. For example, anyone sitting on, let us say, the opera show, and I can distinctly remember, I can't recall hearing anything about Dr. Phil, except from that time when he sat on the opera show and he became a global phenomenon almost instantly. So Paul, he coincided with the headshots, right? You're gonna come to us now.
I just want to add
You're
something.
mute. I'm not hearing you.
I just want to, whenever you're done, I just want to add something. Whenever you're done, I'm waiting.
Good, no problem. So personal branding is important to every organization when you know what you're doing. Um, some of the other benefits that we have seen, it is the fastest way to build confidence, trust, and credibility in the eyes of your audience, in the eyes of the public. Um, some other benefits, it helps you to leverage celebrity talents. And well, the other thing that I want to make quickly is that the for you to leverage celebrity talents is capital intensive, and I do believe that because it's capital intensive, many persons may shy away from this. So we're going to talk about if it's better to use these celebrity talents or is it better to create these talents, as we look at the importance of personal branding in growing and scaling a business. Just to get today started, Paul, what you were going to say? Let me hear you.
All right. You said Dr. Phil. Well, there's a hilarious meme out there. Okay, I shave my head. I don't have the horseshoe like Dr. Phil has. I still got stuff on top, right? But I shave it because I'm not going to go in the direction of that horseshoe haircut that people have. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's a meme out there, and this is a true story. Um, there's a guy. I don't know how long ago this was, early 2000s probably. It sounds bad, but there was a guy who was promoting finding people. It was called bum fights. He would find people, and he would pay them, and they would fight on video, and that was like when the internet came out, he was getting a lot of views for that. It's called bum fights. People like fighting. They like MMA. They like so. However you feel about that is how you feel about it. But he was invited on the Dr. Phil show, and they were going to discuss how he was taking advantage of people and exploiting them for money, right? And the guy comes on the Dr. Phil show dressed exactly like Dr. Phil, and the guy uh, gave himself a horseshoe. He was Dr. Phil's twin on Dr. Phil's show. And Dr. Phil got mad at it and kicked him off. But the guy did that so he could say right off, he told Dr. Phil, he says, you do the same thing. You're exploiting people for money. It was very funny. Dr. Phil really got zapped on that one.
Interesting. Interesting. So here is where you have a strong personal brand that you have some impersonation around it that want to show a shady light on,
Yeah.
what he is. Well, I guess he was clever to shut him down right away there. Great point there, Paul. Great point. I want to come to Andrew. I know this is one of Andrew's pet peeve. How important is personal branding and to the whole equation of growing and scaling and positioning a business for success? In your experience, would you care to share with us what are some of your takeaway?
Well, I think a personal brand is everything. I mean, a personal brand is the reason why, you have people like um, Logan Paul or Jake Paul who started out with, their prime product making over 250 million in 1 year because everyone knew who was behind it, right? Or if you look at Kylie Jenner with her makeup products and her beauty products making close to 1 billion in revenue now because of her personal brand and her connections and her relationship with the Kardashians. It is everything because people have trust with others, and people don't trust a logo as much as they trust a person, because at the end of the day we all connect with people, not with a color or a brand necessarily, unless it was a person attached to it. I also think when it comes to corporate branding and business branding, I think that really is dependent on the industry itself. But I think every business could benefit from a personal brand element within that business brand. Whether you're showcasing who the owner is, whether you're showcasing what the culture of a company looks like, even in the most random industry like manufacturing, for example, there is still a warm touch you're putting on your audience, even though you might not see it. The algorithm is always promoting when you're posting personal content, when you're posting content about people, right? Not just products, not just being all salesy. So I think a personal brand is probably the next business model out there, especially when you make a new product. If you can have a strong personal brand, it's not even a matter of your product is good. People will buy it even if it's good or not because they know who's behind it and they know the influence that that person has, right? So I really think that is the next business model that will exist for a very long time, and anyone could leverage that. Doesn't matter what age you are. If you know how to build that, you're definitely going to make money one way or the other, for like absolutely. And I've seen it countless amount of times with small products, big products. If you look at the big celebrities, these guys have massive influence, so it's so easy for them to make money because all they have to do is release a product and they just know they'll get the sales.
But that was well said, Andrew, and I do agree with you. I do believe that while the capital investment into either partnering with celebrities and to helping your personal brand or making annual budgetary allocation to the organization to build personal brand is going to be capital intensive. I do believe that it is definitely a modern approach to start and to scale and to grow a successful business. Why? And just let me put some weight on the why. I do believe that building personal brand, as you said, is where that brand, that individual, is going to be the face of the company. Why? Because they have certain special skills. So they're known, they're liked, they're trusted because they're able to appeal to a wide audience base. And they would have already established the know, like, and trust. They immediately pull that audience base over. I think one of the greatest challenge for businesses today, when it comes to cash flow optimization, you may have good products, but in the case where you're not known in the market, if you're not known, you're not trusted. And if you're not trusted, persons wouldn't like you. If persons don't have a reason to like you because you're not known, um, they're not going to necessarily make the level of capital investment with your brand. And what we have found is that these celebrity brand and strong personal branding has really helped to uh, bring down that uh, curve, which we call reduce the brand recognition curve. They have significantly reduced the brand recognition curve in the favor of companies. And what they have also done is to fast track the pathway to cash flow optimization for businesses. We see there's a lot of evidence of this out here, some positive and some negative. Today we're going to focus on the positive. So that was a great share, Andrew. I want to come now to Frank. What are your take on the importance of personal branding uh, to the whole equation of growing, scaling businesses successfully? You're mute, Frank.
Always forgetting. One of the things that you want to get in branding, whether it be personal, corporate, is results, because it defines your value as a leader. And chances are you spend at least some time thinking about your reputation at work, your reputation in your community. And you may wonder how a recent initiative you led could have influenced your team, your colleagues, workmates, how they think of you, or you worry if your boss considers a recent mistake part of a larger issue you struggle with. You may fret about whether your direct reports look up to you as a leader. The question is, have you ever thought about your personal leadership brand? So, what's a personal leadership brand? You see, among the community in which you dwell, community of families, community of friends, you have a reputation. That reputation is your personal brand. It reflects your priorities, it reflects the values you stand for, the offering of promises that you consistently deliver, and how you go about delivering those promises or offerings. If you're at work, we talk about corporate now. Your leadership brand is how your personal brand plays out in the social process of leadership. In other words, it's how you interact with others to produce results. Now, while some of your previous interactions and experiences with other people may all be in the past, the personal leadership brand you aspire to should guide you into the future. It's all about who you are, who you want to be. So it matters. It matters because your personal leadership plan illustrates not only what you deliver, but also how you deliver it. And this should be an authentic, authentic representation of what you aspire to and you cherish. Again, chances are, if you're thinking about it, your leadership brand is closely aligned with what you want. A well tended leadership brand is a reflection of your deepest values, and it helps people, including yourself, define who you are and assess your anticipated value as a leader. And there are some reasons that you should consider consciously and authentically, which will shape your leadership brand. And there are a set of reasons which I can get into a little later.
All right, those were some great points, Frank. And very often, as we talk about personal branding and how much it relates to corporate branding, I sat among intellectuals who also would have echoed some of your same sentiments. I mean, if we look enough within ourselves to find authenticity in the brand image, we can draw upon our uh, personality types and leadership skills. We can draw from within because, according to the experts, we have enough there to start building a brand on that society may have commonality in. While I believe that that has tremendous merits in it, I do believe that it also has some limitation, and I will explain that perhaps as we go a little deeper into today's program. But just let me give a brief overview of this. While that is important, it's also important to recognize that when we take a personality and we build a brand based on that personality is only a representation of a subsector of the broad ecosystem of things that has to be looked at when we are talking about building a corporate brand. And to understand more about what I'm saying when I talk about subsector, uh, to build a strong brand, whether you're building it from an understanding of who you are or you're building it from data, you have to be able to uh, extract data. All right. You have to do data analytics. And the moment you start with the data analytics, um, you are going to go into things like how does demographic data relate to the brand that I'm going to be building? Because demographic data is what's going to help you to figure out what is the income status of persons that you're going to be targeting. What are their employment status? What are their educational background? And based on all of these factors, is going to help you to understand if you can build a premium brand that relates to that specific target market, and if they are predisposed to income, cash flow, to make your brand that you intend to build viable. So those are just some of the subsectors of issues that has to be looked at. We can go across the psychographics and we can go across the demographic and extract the same type of data in terms that you need to analyze to make an informed decision. But let me come right back to some of what you were saying because I really love it. I think that in building a personal brand or projecting a personal brand, uh, we have control over it. Managers have control over it. And I think that there's three questions that you can ask yourself to figure this out. And one is, how do you want to be known? All right. In the context that you're building a brand to appeal to your ideal client, you could make a conscious decision that, in building my personal brand, this is how I want to be known. I want to be known as a person who is market oriented. That means I'm doing the research. I want to be known as a person who is market sensitive. That means I'm innovating products that, really impacts the ideal client. I want to be known as a brand that is also market responsive. Means that I have the database set up where I'm collecting information on a regular basis from the ideal client that is helping me to understand the opinions that are being formed and shaped in relation to their experience with my brand. And I'm constantly either upgrading or expanding in alignment with the market needs. So a brand can, building a personal brand can represent all of the above based on my interaction in terms of brand building, brand leverage, and helping businesses to grow and scale. But I love that those points that you would have made. So that's just a little bit on that point. Um, Paul, um, what are your thoughts on what is being shared so far? And of course, I think that Paul's personal brand, is that he is the guy that says, you have the willingness to grow and scale your business, and I'm the guy that's going to help you. To me, that's more than just a corporate brand. That is, he's bringing his personal side into really, you know, being at his A game, understanding financial instruments, to be able to help people to navigate the rough terrains of one, understanding the best financial tools for them to use, accessing the best financial tools, and helping them to grow and scale the business. That's just my interpretation of you, Paul, but you can take it in another direction. All to you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay. You know, at the beginning of this episode, I didn't know how much I would have to say because really this is you and specifically Andrew's field of
Yeah.
expertise. But a lot's come into my mind as I've been listening to you guys. All right. Branding. Well, the movie Jaws. If all of us get together today and go to the beach and we get a very loud radio and we play the Jaws theme track, people are getting out of the water. Right. And that's from 1976. So that I don't even know if they meant it, but it happened. You hear that, you know it's Jaws. That's well branded. Um, have a Coke and a smile. That little jingle from the 70s. Okay, everybody knows it. You hear it, you know what it is. I mean, I guess they have the word Coke in it, so you already know it there. But if you didn't, they would know it. Now, I got a really great example. Cannabis is a legal market. We finance people in the cannabis business. Okay. In doing that, I made a lot of friends in that industry. One one group specifically, they're called the Pot Brothers at Law. They're Mark and Craig Wasserman, Los Angeles-based criminal defense attorneys. And how did they become as famous as they are? And they're I mean they know Snoop Dogg, they know they know all the celebrities in that field who are who are I guess are associated with cannabis really. So they're in that field. Now, how did they become famous? They appeared on a show called Tosh 2.0, and that was when they appeared, and all of a sudden it blew up for them. So what blew up for them? They have a product. It's called the script, and really it's information, but that information has developed into products. They got stickers with the script on it that you put on your visor in case you get pulled over by the police. Now, let me say, I'm not anti-police. I'm pro-police. I'm pro-good police, not pro-bad police, because there's bad ones. There are police officers who will pull you over and make up laws or not know the law. Sincerely, one of the things I really like a lot are First and Second Amendment audits on YouTube. And there's police officers who do not know the law. So you got to protect yourself against that. The Pot Brothers at Law, Mark and Craig Wasserman, here's how they help people protect their constitutional rights. And You might think it sounds silly. I don't, because I think constitutional rights are very important and very serious, and we do need to protect them. So, how do you protect them if you get pulled over by the police? Uh, you assert your rights. You make the statement. Okay, here's the script. Uh, why did you stop me? The cop asked you, where are you coming from? I'm not discussing my day with you because you don't have to answer that question. Am I detained or am I free to go? And then I'm not going to say the words, but this is the central part of the Pot Brothers at Law brand. STFU. I'm not going to say it, but you've all probably heard it. You guys get what I'm saying? So if you don't, you'll figure it out after you think about it for a minute. You might have been told that, or you've told it to somebody, but that is the Pot Brothers at Law brand. Because after you assert your rights, why'd you stop me? I'm not discussing my day with you. Am I detained or free to go? And then you STFU. And if you guys, anybody listening to this, please, because these guys are my friends, I like them a lot. Go to Instagram, look up Pot Brothers at Law. Go to LinkedIn, go to all social media platforms, look up the Pot Brothers at Law script, and you will see exactly what I'm saying. But they branded themselves, they stand out. Like Mark is, I'm not going to say like extravagant and flamboyant, but he dresses a lot different than I do. I'm plain, I'm regular. Mark's in Los Angeles. Like he's flashy, pink ties, like wild shirts. He's an impressive attorney. These guys are here to protect your constitutional rights. They're here to give you the information to protect your constitutional rights, but they branded that information. And their business, I'm sure it was outstanding before, but now a lot of people know about the Pot Brothers at Law, especially in that industry. Even not in that industry, people know about them. Their
Yeah.
their their brand has exploded. They're rubbing shoulders with all the big people, and a brand, in my opinion, is something you remember, like the Jaws theme track. Well, everybody can
Right.
associate with STFU. Somebody's told you that in the past, unfortunately, right? We've all heard it. Let's be real. We're adults here. You either said that to somebody in anger or somebody has said it to you. Well, Mark and Craig Wasserman, the Pot Brothers at Law, they took that and they were like, well, that's what you do when the cops are asking you questions. You just go quiet. And another word for go quiet is, as I stated, STFU. I went on their podcast. They gave me a hat. I think they trademarked capital letters ST. I'm not going to keep saying it, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. As we were having this discussion, that is a strong brand that jumped out at me. Words that they strung together, a word that, four words together that we all know. That's their brand, and their product is the information which protects your constitutional rights.
Right. Hmm. All right. Thanks for that share, Paul. And I think that what that is saying is that, branding comes in so many shapes and so many different sizes. For the average person, as they begin to listen, Paul may want to say what that has to do with branding, but every single thing. And I think that the corrupt cops has really made the Pop Brothers even more relevant in today's society because they have built a brand up um, to educate the populace as to how to defend themselves against corrupt cops. So that's a great point. What is good about Paul? Because Paul served in the police force in the U.S. for many, many years. And the main fact that he's giving you this kind of information, it means that, it demonstrates that he was definitely on the good side of the law and not the bad side. Frank, I know you were going to say something, Paul?
Oh, I just want to throw one more thing in there. You
Yeah,
you said demographic data. Well, their
yeah,
demographic data is people being pulled over. Their demographic data is cannabis, people who use cannabis, but that's not it. Like more broadly speaking, their demographic data is everybody in America. If you get stopped, we all have constitutional rights. Use them, don't lose them. And that's, I mean, I think that's their demographic. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, I do believe that if they flow in the essence of what the force is established to serve as, everything would be good to protect and serve. I mean, they have two missions: protect and serve. But when they cut against that grain, they misrepresent their brand, because their brand in itself is to protect and serve. But that is not necessarily what's happening in a number of cases in those regards.
Mhm.
And of course, we'll look at that as a brand later on. But Frank, you had some other notes that you'd want to drop in terms of personal branding. I would love to hear that.
All right. Um, there are some things when we talk about branding that gives a reason why you should brand, why you should have
Mhm.
a good brand, and the following reasons are some examples. A powerful leadership brand can enhance your ability to achieve your career goals. This is when you aspire to a higher level position or want different challenges than what you currently have. You will need a leadership brand that signals what are your capabilities and interests. Now, as you become more respected and appreciated for your leadership contributions, you will gain more opportunity and experience, which then reinforces a brand that supports your aspirations. Example, I sing, and for me to become world renowned, I would have had to create a certain style and brand in the way I sing. I consider myself too old for that now. But were I younger, then I would have had to put some work into it, get the right producer, the right manager, the right agent to get my brand, my musicians to know. And so this leadership brand would have enhanced my ability to achieve a greater fan base in the music world. This other reason is that the leadership brand can help you broaden and deepen your impact. One of the things that as a leader you have to have an impact on your team. You have to have an impact on the community and the world at large. Because it reflects not only work you get done, but it reflects how you interact with and relate to others to do so. One question can I do you work effectively with others? Do you build and sustain partnerships? Do you and your team achieve what is considered three crucial outcomes of leadership, which is direction, alignment, and commitment? You see, the way you engage in the social process of leadership helps you to execute or scale, create a leadership brand that others will like to remember and talk about, like the Jaws theme. Remember that your persona comes through in virtual interactions as well. People will see. You can only speak it, you have to act it so that people will see.
Great point.
Work, your leadership brand differentiates you from other leaders based on your unique value. What is your unique or the unique value that you're bringing? You see, when you have a clear leadership brand, people know what to expect from you versus the others on the team. Maybe you're uniquely able to organize complex projects. Maybe you're able to mediate disagreements or develop others. And when people think about your brand, those talents should immediately come to mind. You will then be pulled into roles where those talents are valued and given more and more opportunities to do the type of work you like. A fuzzy leadership brand or one you don't want will stall your growth and keep you in roles where you don't thrive. So without a clear and well communicated leadership brand, others may be unaware of your capabilities. They may be unaware of your values, the contributions that you make. This is why authentic self promotion is key. You may end up working in a vacuum, unseen and unheard by your boss, key stakeholders, and even your peers. Promotions and other interest assignments are likely to pass you by. So you could even end up doing your career. That is one reason why you cannot be first. You need to have a clear and authentic key for your self promotion, for selling your brand, for letting people know who you are. And if you manage your brand, it is a powerful way to be authentic and a true agent for yourself. You don't have to depend on others to be your puppies. It's just you being able to manage what you have, realizing what you want your leadership brand to be. Gives focus to your actions as a word that now being taught because we and you, Gary, had a discussion on focus. It helps you to clarify what you should be doing and what not to do. So if you're articulating cultivating your personal leadership brand, that is a proactive way to work and lead in ways that are authentic. It's not based on the expectation of others. If you're trying to be someone that you aren't, if you're pretending, people will see through it. It might not happen immediately, but if you aren't being true to yourself and your values, colleagues, your neighbors, your family will notice eventually. And trust me,
Great point.
feel comfortable for your thoughts and actions to be incongruent. So if
Hmm.
you are and what you stand for is not valued in your organization, find another place to be.
Great points, Frank. You said a couple of things that hit a nerve. I love the term that you use, authentic self promotion, in personal branding. I want to create some relevance also of what you said to corporate brand. Um, the next term that I want to add there, it's authentic corporate design promotion. And why do I add that term? Very often in the company, you develop what is known as the corporate culture. And the corporate culture reflects how the entire eco system of that business is going to run. It represents every atom of the organization itself. But you may find that persons may be elected to or appointed to function in certain leadership role, but there's a divide between what is the corporate culture and how their role, uh, 101% observe that corporate culture and reflects it in how their management responsibility is executed. And sometimes you find the personnel management may not fully reflect the kind of corporate culture that represents uh, projecting an image of empathy and projecting an image of you know forward thinking and all of these different things. There is a divide between these two. The reason I'm making this point, Paul, because as you develop the corporate culture, all your strategic team leaders ought to be socialized at a corporate and personal level to actualize what that corporate culture is representing. So within the organization itself, because remember we talk about narrow appeal and broad appeal. In an organization setting, perhaps you need that narrow appeal. And who knows what can happen. You need those narrow appeal from all leaders to effectively translate the essential characteristics that is necessary to achieve departmental goals, and personal branding also will help. So If something is wrong, I can say I can go to personnel and I can talk with personnel. I can go to HR and I can talk to HR because the traits are already established. I know that I will get empathy. I know I will get desired results at the end of the day. The same applies to marketing and public relation and all these other departments. So, in other words, I think what is important to draw here is that personal branding is not exclusive from corporate branding. And corporate branding is not necessarily exclusive from personal branding. But the way it is today, they are complete separation. And that's a good point. I draw some of these based on the earlier conversation that we would have had and what you would have just said. I'm going to open up now for Andrew and then come back to Frank and then come back to Paul. I'm going to ask Paul to remind us about some of the financial instruments and then we're going to go back to Frank. Andrew, your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, my thoughts on a corporate brand is we do some corporate branding work still for certain clients, but we also I'm a big advocate on personal. I think personal is the solution to a lot of things, but there are cases where when certain industries are very oriented on purchase than just the person itself. Like for example, wine, right? I don't care who made my wine. I just care simply how it tastes and how that bottle compares with other bottles of wine. And I'm sure that's how most people would think, right? Nobody needs to know the ancient history of that owner, right? That who's like the family culture now. Nobody would really care because they want an immediate purchase of that product. Um, I do I think corporate branding is important. I think it is, I think it's a very product appealing type marketing where it's like entirely focused on the purchase. I think what can make that a little softer sometimes simply because people don't always like being, salesy and direct, or people don't like having that approach, is incorporating a little bit of a personal brand and showcasing who's actually behind all of this. I do advocate personal brand and corporate brand. I think corporate brand still can get a ton of great results, and we have been delivering things like that, great results. But I always do believe a hint or touch of a personal brand, even in a corporate setting, is still a very good point to make because it's not only helping your account grow because you're getting engagements on those type of posts, but on the other hand, you're also just simply making it a warmer introduction to a new audience that have seen this profile, right? So I will always for sure will advocate both. And in cases where you have to mix it, but you can keep an emphasis on corporate, but here and there you want to showcase a little bit about the company culture or the people behind it, right? Maybe some videos about the people working inside the brand. I think that's so important. That's what we advocate for some of the real estate teams we work with, right? Showing who's behind doing all of this, right? Not just business. So I'm advocating both. I'm a mix for both. I think professionalism is very important, but at the same time, even if you're in a setting where maybe you're not the most professional, but you have something good to say, probably you should say it instead of waiting for the right moment. Because the other thing is, there's no perfect moment ever. That's people always make this excuse saying, "Oh, I have to find the perfect moment," but there's no perfect moment ever. No, nothing ever is the right time. So I am, I have a mixed preferences for the personal brand and business brand, but I would always love to see a business combine both of those because I think it's probably one of the best marketing strategy you can take, right? Personal brand entirely is amazing, and that usually applies to just an individual. But when you have like a team or a company, when you showcase both of them, you're hitting both avenues of purchase emphasis and also like brand emphasis and introduction. You're creating a warm opportunity for someone, right? So I mean that those are my opinions. I don't think those will change because I've seen these kind of accounts over and over and over again, and the ones that are all purchase oriented still get good results, but the ones that mix everything has a different feel to it, and it's more of a warmer feel into the original product.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your share, Andrew. And by no means we are on the or downplaying the importance of corporate branding. But what is going to help any company to increase its sales, visibility, reach, and impact is, let's take, for example, if your sales and public relation representatives are properly branded, immediately they're breaking down barriers of known, like, and trust because they have a strong, personal brand. and
Right.
that's going to play significantly into helping those companies to cash flow optimize. That's the research that we are doing, and we have built out a platform to really teach businesses along these lines. But I like your view. I know Frank has limited time; he has to go, so I'm going to ask Frank now to, as we begin to wrap up, to give us his closing remarks. Then I'm going to come to Paul, and then back to Andrew. Frank, all to you. Your last thoughts on closing remarks.
All right, thanks, Gary. And because I'll be a little quick, short, because I have some things. What I wanted to leave with you is basically 6 steps to strengthen your personal, which could also be corporate leadership brand. The first thing that you need to do is make a list. What do you love about what you do? What do you love about your work? What do you love about the entity which you serve? Then the second thing is that you have to do an audit. Your online presence is important. How are you online? Check your digital and social media footprint. Do you have a footprint on social media? And this will often be someone's first impression of your leadership brand. You want to be sure the image you present meshes with your desired brand. The third is choose an accountability partner, one who will hold you accountable. So you pick someone who will give the truth about what other people think about you. Not one who's going to be too fuzzy and nicey. A friend who will be able to look you in the eye and tell you, hey, you're messing up. This is what you need to do. They can also help hold you to your other goals for improving your leadership brand. Incorporate feedback from others, even if it's your boss, friend, significant others, or colleagues. Create a tagline to summarize your unique leadership contribution. What would your tagline be like? Think of an image, think of a catchphrase that depicts the core of your leadership brand. Gather feedback from your accountability partner and adjust as needed. Design an action plan. You can never go wrong. Action plans are necessary. Once you figure out the gap between your current leadership brand and the one you desire, develop an action plan to improve on your weaknesses. A plan that will help you build new competencies that will help you solicit help when appropriate and assess your progress. Ask yourselves questions. What do I value? And do my values still reflect who I am? What am I known for? Am I doing everything I can to build my leadership brand? So when you return to these guiding questions regularly, I will help you determine if you're on the right track, and it will ensure that your behaviors are supporting those values and goals. Um, so you ask yourself quick questions and design an action plan. Take some time to consider the core leadership skills you need in every role, which is their self-awareness, learning agility, influence, and most of all, communications. When you consider ways to strengthen these four core skills, in doing so, you will also be able to build your leadership brand. I wish I had some more time with you, but this is all for now. Have a great day. God bless.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. And perhaps next week we go deeper into personal branding and the organization situations, so we can examine it fully to look at advantages, disadvantages, strengths, and weaknesses. That's something that I would challenge us to look at. But that was great points that each party would have made. We can build on this for the next week. Paul, as we are wrapping up now, can you talk to us a little bit about some more of the financial instruments, and you can give us also your closing remarks before I come to Andrew.
Yes, sir. Well, the program that we're putting together, Business Finance Consultants, I just want to stress this. No experience needed. If you have experience, great. If you don't have experience, that's great also. What you do need to have is the desire to do it and make a lot of money. And we will teach you how to do that. We'll teach you how to be an expert in all forms of business finance. What's an expert? An expert is somebody who, when you ask them a question, they don't have to think about it. They know the answer. There's no hesitation. So we'll take you there. We'll also teach you how to market yourself, how to get clients, how we did it, how you can do it. Um, we want to build this team of 100 people. Oh yeah, that's another thing I totally wanted to hit, Gary.
Yeah.
Sales professionals. We're gonna teach you how to be a high level sales professional, overcoming objections, answering questions, and doing it nicely, not a sales robot. Doing it like a normal person. It just flows. It flows to the point to where you're a recognized expert and people know that they want to work with you within the first 1 minute of talking with you. That is what we will turn you into. Um, Again, financial products. I was going to say this earlier. You know, I say some dumb things sometimes, Gary. I'll just say another dumb thing.
Okay, my friend.
One way to phrase it is we provide capital. Another way to phrase it, if you want to be a little more creative, sling the bling. We want to help you learn how to sling the bling and capitalize businesses.
You
So,
trying to wrap it up or sling the bing,
yeah,
sling the bling.
no, crazy things come
Okay.
to me sometimes. So
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
it gets worse from here forward.
You got it. At
uh,
least we're smiling, right? They say smiling, they keep the doctor away, right? So
that's a
we
fact.
keep the doctor at bay.
Yeah. And then closing remarks. I just want to say, I mean, this is certainly an area I'm not an expert in. I'm good at what I'm good at. Branding, I'm okay at it. I understand it. But Andrew, you, and Frank really are the experts in this subject. But what I want to say, what Gary said, yes. What Frank said on his closing remarks, yes. Those 6 points. Watch this again, rewind it, and listen to Frank say that a bunch of times so you can absorb it. And then what Andrew said, man, that's powerful. And I agree so much. I follow some people on Instagram and LinkedIn. They teach Shay Rowbottom's one of them. I think she's authentic videos is what she pushes. And when I started following her, it caught my attention. I was like, yeah, that's right. Makes sense. And that really ties into what Andrew says. I mean, corporate and personal branding. Andrew said purchase oriented videos. You're trying to get them to buy something, they know it. They might watch if they're interested. Sure. But if you have a personal video, personal branding mixed in with that, then and they like what you're saying, they're going to watch it. They're going to watch it because of you. The product's there. Let me just wrap it up with this. Here's my closing statement. What Andrew said, yes. You know,
All
and
right.
contact Andrew, contact Gary if you want work with these guys. Anybody listen, work with these guys. I mean, since I met Andrew, every word that he comes out of his mouth is brilliant as far, so yeah, I just want to give him all credit and let him know that thank you, Andrew, because what I learned from you today, I kind of knew it, but when you hear it again, it really hits you harder, and it did. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thanks for that share, Paul. And at 21, I think he's accomplished a whole lot for himself.
Oh my
So
God.
kudos to you
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, my closing remarks on this particular topic and personal branding, it's a very deep subject matter. And of course, what we have recognized is that many top 100 companies, they invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars in, investing to get celebrity and endorsement. And we see some positive things would have played out in this regard. Nike would have enlisted the support of Jordan to elevate visibility of their brand. So without a doubt, the world has a clear mental picture in terms of how important personal branding is to growing a business. Of course, there to be able to do this, like some of the top 100 companies, it requires a decent amount of capital. Now, you don't have to be a top 100 companies to leverage this opportunity to fast track the visibility, the growth, and cash flow of your business. There are smarter ways to do it. And as time progresses, we will definitely be talking more about that. A couple other things that I want to also note. There are many influencers out there. And what we are saying here today, you just don't want to go use an influencer, because one of the things that we have seen is that a person may have a lot of following or followers, but when we do the diagnostic to see if they can retrace exactly how they get there, they're not able to do that. When we do deeper analysis to see how well they understand their audience base, we recognize that they do not fully understand that. When we are talking about corporate brand from a business standpoint, we are talking about corporate branding based on analytics. That means that as you build a brand, you want to be certain that you understand your audience base. You understand them at three specific level. You understand them based on demographics. You understand them based on psychographics. You understand them based on geographic. It is the collection of this database and the effective use of this knowledge that's going to help you to attain clinical precision in how you build a brand and how you position that brand to that specific target market. So there are some mechanics that has to go into building a strong brand, aligning a strong brand to the ideal client, and elevating that brand in the minds of that client and driving it to success. There are ways in which you can do that. Today is not that day for us to get analytical. When myself and Andrew and the team, we decide to host Business 7 seminars, we will go deeper into these analysis. So that's just some points that I want to bring out here. In conclusion, I want to thank Andrew for coming here to share his knowledge with us and the public. And I also want to thank Paul because Paul played a pivotal role in this equation. Paul may not be the expert on branding and marketing, but believe me, he is the expert when it comes to access to capital. And if you're going to do good branding and marketing, you need capital. So for us, he's an essential part of the ecosystem that users have to stretch over. So you're talking branding, you may need capital. Paul is the kind of person that's going to help you to access the much funding that you need to develop your business ecosystem. So he's an essential part of our community. And with that being said, I really trust that the public would have enjoyed today's program, the competitive edge. And today we looked at the face of branding and marketing. If you're getting into business, you really need to pause and ensure that you're building a strong brand. All right. And you can reach out to us. We are here, happy and excited to give you all the support that you need to take your business to that next level of growth and development. So do enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week in front of you.
Mhm.
See you guys soon.